Hello YouTube, this is Bill from Little White Dory, and we didn't have much of it was a semi-productive day. We just now are getting an evening sun. Maybe for the last hour, 2 hours of the day we're going to get a little sun, so I moved my wagon over here so that the plants could catch a little bit of the sun rays. And we got a bunch of tomato plants, that's for sure. And I have a couple more trays. I think I have four more trays of 6-packs to break down into individuals. And you know, we've got different kinds, different sizes. I stopped by at a local nursery. Let's see if I can pull one of these out that's nicer size. Here we go. This is not bad here. And a plant. So here's a well, that's not a 5-gallon bucket, but you get to see the size of my hand. The local nursery down the block was selling this for $4.95, one plant. So I'm thinking, I won't be greedy. Maybe I'll get $1, $1.50, $2. I don't know. We'll see what the traffic will bear. Then we also have a couple more in here. These were the last batch that I did, and they got a little leggy, but I think you'll see that they're perking up. We also have something called ground cherries. That's this right here. If you know anything about ground cherries and you can give me some hints, I'd be happy to hear it. These are some peppers, just regular red peppers. And then these are the tomatoes that got leggy. They're starting to develop in true leaves now. We've got some more peppers back here. These were kind of, I'm going to call them specialty peppers that I picked up from Baker's Creek. And I'm hoping that they perk up a little bit. You know, here's some tomatoes that are starting to look like tomato plants. Kind of the same here. You can see they're very thin. I don't know that these were worth even hanging on to, but we'll give them a chance. There's another one of those ground cherries. But this is my converted chicken tractor greenhouse. There's the nest box, and well, not there, but a bucket will hang, and I can have the water gravity feeding. It's funny, as I say that, probably won't be able to see them, but I hear the osprey. The osprey have been back now for a couple of weeks. Needless to say, I have not seen any hawks anymore, and the girls have been getting out. Well, you can see they're out here now. Let's go say hello to them. The tomato plants in this wagon are doing well. I think I have to get them some more sunlight, though. They're looking like they could be happier with a little direct sun. Perhaps tomorrow. So I did something today. Before I go take a look at them, I'll mention it. I've been looking into buying a new weed whacker line trimmer. And I finally made the plunge today. I picked up a Stihl FS94R. And it took me a while to kind of decide which one I want. And the reason that I went with this one is kind of simple. It's a true two-stroke is what it boils down to. It's about a 24, 25, I think it's 24 point something cc, roughly 1.2 horsepower motor. And it's got some neat features. It does have a throttle adjuster, so like right now you can see I'm pushing this, it doesn't go very far. But if I wheel this forward, oops, the other way. I did have it the right way. I didn't have my hand on the throttle. It'll go further. So you can control the speed at which it works. But being that it's a two-stroke, it's a smaller, physically smaller motor and lighter. So it weighs about 10 pounds versus this entry-level 4-strokes are at about 12 pounds. So it's funny, this morning I did do a short video, and it was to show how the chickens are doing my yard work for me. And I'll add this maybe on, but you can see there the chicken has dug out that one little spot, and there she goes a little bit more. And each stroke or each step, they step a little further forward and they scratch a little deeper, and they basically pull out every weed, every seed, every little bug, everything, every morsel that they could possibly chow down on, including the grass. As you can see, she's getting some blades of grass right now. That's my girl Hootie, lays a green egg. It's Buffy the Buff Orpington, or Pal is her real name. and then behind that is Nubbins, and then just stepping into the frame is Cleopatra. But the girls hang out back here. They've been digging and digging and digging, and really, someone had something to say. They've been doing a fantastic job cleaning this stuff out. What it is the older girls go to bed earlier. So this is the young crowd over here, and got around doing some weed whacking, so the edges look a little cleaner now. Got ways to go, but it's a start. That's one of the younger girls. I guess the old girls are already in the coop. Hey, Fluff, how are you? You're already in bed. Let me see if I can stick my hand inside there and show you what's going on. I don't know if that's going to work so well, but oops. Reach up in here. And there you have it. Well, there's 3 of them up on the top roost. That's Sydney in the middle. She's now basically taken up camp on the middle level. She's always there. She defends it. Anyway, what a beautiful evening this is turning out to be. I thought I'd mention a few things. Let me flip this around. We just watched a video that was put out by our friend Joey at My Slice of Heaven Outdoors. Joey does a little shout out on Mondays, I guess, and he mentioned our channel. You know, I'm kind of excited because I realized all of a sudden I'm getting a lot of hits, and well, I guess it was sometime this morning or yesterday we hit 100 subscribers. So you 100 people out there that have nothing better to do than sit around and watch my videos, I thank you. I try to put something in them that's informative, otherwise it's sort of random, as Joey said. And in the case of my friend Rob, the Sapper Gardener, at Ession's Family Garden, I think it's called, he asked me to do some videos, or he suggested I should do some videos telling some stories. So I'll throw one short story in because it was a teaser for him. I had mentioned a few things in comments, and then finally the other day I posted a video called Farewell to a Fishing Buddy. And it just so happened that I had mentioned that I loved fishing as a kid growing up to Rob when he made a video on a seafood stew. Anyway, I left him with the teaser about, well, if you like that story, you'll love the one where I found the dead body in San Diego. And it's true, I did. And the funnier part is you see the shirt I'm wearing is kind of like a multicolored flannel. So here goes the story. Very good friend of mine, Nick, lives out in Los Angeles. And another friend of mine who at the time was working for American Express Travel Services called me up one day and said, hey, what are you doing this weekend? And I said, you know, the usual, nothing much, but a lot of everything. He said, you want to go to San Diego for the weekend? And I said, well, it's kind of a long way to go for a weekend. He said, for free? I said, I'm there. So he apparently got through work some comp tickets to go to San Diego. I think we were there probably like Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, so 3 nights. And my friend Nick from Los Angeles drove down to San Diego to meet us. So, you know, we're doing the things you do in San Diego. We were in, I think they called it like a seaport village, where from there you could see the military base. I guess it's a naval station there in San Diego. Lots of jets taking off, lots of ships coming in and out. And right along the harbor there is a promenade, I'll call it, a boardwalk. Not a boardwalk, but a promenade. And in the case of my friend coming down from Los Angeles, we decided to splurge, and we decided to walk from the hotel up to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, which I had not been to before, because I said, why would I go to Ruth's Chris? I can go to Manhattan and get Peter Luger's, or I could get Gallagher's. I get a lot of good places in Manhattan, so whatever, Ruth's Chris is where we go. And we spent a lot of money, and we had a lot of food. I should say an extra lot of food. And now it's time to get home, and one of my friends had to do some business, so he kind of quickly ran ahead, and my friend Nick and I just sort of strolled along the promenade there, stopping and checking out things on the pier. And I'm looking at the water, And, you know, you just kind of see things. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we saw some seals, we saw fish, we saw different things. And I'm looking down, and I see a blue plaid flannel shirt, and it caught my attention because it was kind of bobbing up and down, and lo and behold, it was a dead body. Yeah, a dead body floating in the water. So I call 911. 911 says, hey, yeah, where is it? I said, I don't really know. I'm not from here. I'm near the water. We had dinner at Ruth Chris. We're along the promenade, and I think the next thing down the road is the Seaport Village, so somewhere over there. All right, we'll be there. So, you know, a few minutes go by, and some police cars show up, and then next thing you know is the police boat shows up. And by the time they had gotten there, this body, which was floating along the edge of the docks, the bulkhead, had floated underneath a wharf. So by the time they got there, you couldn't see it. So I was like, they're not going to believe me, maybe. I don't know. So we stuck around, and we walked down to the other side, and sure enough, there for a few minutes, out comes floating this blue plaid shirt. The person's body was just hunched, like the dead man's float is exactly what it was, you know. You could just barely see the back of the head. You could see the arched back. And the story is that apparently the night before, somewhere further upstream, on a yacht, someone's big yacht, they were having a party, and there was a report of possibly somebody falling overboard. Except they didn't find anybody, or whatever happened, they gave up on it, thinking, all right, maybe there wasn't anybody falling overboard. Well, apparently that person did fall overboard, and whether they were drunk or I don't know what the story is. The weather was nice. It wouldn't have been hypothermia so quickly. Maybe they just couldn't swim. But the body was pulled out by the San Diego Marine Division, and by the time it was all over, of course, there was news reporters showing up and all kinds of stuff happening, and we interviewed on the TV station there. Before we went home, we saw the little quick interview. It was sort of like a clip that just basically said, yeah, and it was just floating there, and that was it. And so, yes, I go to San Diego to find my first dead body. And I joke about it because, hey, I'm from New York. My father's a retired New York City policeman. I spent most of my childhood visiting family in Queens, New York, Brooklyn, New York, and lots of time in Manhattan. My dad was predominantly stationed in Manhattan. So we would be in Manhattan all the time. Had a very big presence in Manhattan. And you'd think, you know, with all the exposure to things that go on in New York City, maybe you'd find something like that, you know, in an area like that. Well, anyway, that's the story of the dead body in San Diego. It's not a happy story, but it's a strange one, and I guess there's not too many people that can say, oh yeah, I was in San Diego, found a dead body. But we did. Alrighty, folks. Again, thanks for the 100 subscribers. I think it's 103 or something like that now. Joey, thank you for mentioning us. Rob, I hope you enjoyed the story. And I'll try to come up with a different story that's not as gory or, you know, morbid. Who knows what? Maybe I'll tell you the story about the time my front wheel fell off the truck that I was driving in the mountains, and I got saved by a hillbilly, or, you know, a local, and it was literally like something out of a horror story. Alrighty, have a good night, folks.